my name is Sage Pacheco. I'm the Marketing and Customer Experience Specialist here at Wisecon Engineering. Thank you for attending our seasonal weather webinar here today. Going over a couple different things here today. First and foremost, announcing the launch of our new weather dashboard on DropControl. Bunch of new stuff on there. Today we also have Rob Dorenbos, founder and owner of Weather Tools, that will be taking us through an in-depth report available on DropControl as well on your weather dashboard. And finally, going over some maintenance and control stuff happening on your Weather Tools dashboard and utilizing DropControl to prevent frost in changing seasons. So first and foremost, if you have any questions, please go ahead and just drop them in the Q&A box. I will do my best to answer them there at the end. And if it's something that I can't answer, I will go ahead and shoot those over to Rob and he will do his best to answer those. You can also always email us at info@wisecon.com or my email that I will show at the end as well. So first and foremost, for those of you that don't know, talking a little bit about Wisecon and what we do here. Wisecon is a high-tech ag company. We focus on automated irrigation as well as control and monitoring. We are founded in 2006, came to California in 2015. We are a Chilean-based company, so we are serving over 300,000 acres across North and South America, and we have over 10,000 nodes actively deployed. We, in California alone, have 15 distributors. We work through distributors and dealers to help growers, but we have 20 dealers and distributors throughout the United States. We have them throughout California, Pacific Northwest, and the Southeast regions. We also have sales representatives in all of those regions to help you as well. We have over 2,000 users in 5 countries. As mentioned, those countries are Argentina, Chile, US, Peru, and Mexico. We have a fully staffed support team and warehouse in both United States and Fresno, California, and as well as Chile. Fully staffed support team that are always there to answer any questions via email or phone call. We have over 5 API integrators, so we can basically tie into any company that signs off on our API and share data and vice versa to better help growers basically pull and plug data whenever it needs be. So what is DropControl? DropControl is a reliable irrigation management and control system. We pride ourselves on being the forefront of the automation industry. Automated irrigation is what we specialize in. However, we also have our hand in many other telemetry aspects. The first feature would be the control system, would be pump start and stop. As well as wireless valve control, opening and closing of valves, sequential valve operation, etc. We also focus on weather analysis through the use of weather stations like shown here, which is what we're mostly going to be focused on today is weather analysis. We distribute Davis weather stations. We can read data directly through the hardware, or we can utilize our API if you already have an existing weather station or Davis weather station. We can utilize our API integration to gain data from what you already have installed. We do a lot with soil moisture monitoring. This is an example of a soil moisture probe out in the field. We sell Centec probes, but we are sensor agnostic. So any open protocol sensor in the field, we can retrieve data from. And of course, we focus on full remote capabilities. So from your phone, desktop, iPad, in the office, out in the field, whatever it is, you can schedule irrigations, monitor your soil moisture, monitor weather reports, forecast, all on your device at any time. We are comprised of hardware and software. Going into hardware, our 3 nodes, our flagship node, as we like to call it, our X1, that's going to be our monitoring and control node. So we can do both things all in the same node. It has full monitoring capabilities as well as full control capabilities. To the right, our M1 node, that's going to be our sole monitoring node. So monitoring soil moisture, weather stations, etc. It can operate as its own radio unit. So DropControl uses 900 megahertz frequency that all the nodes talk to each other on, and then that information that goes to the cloud. So essentially the M1 node can either be a cellular gateway in itself. It can also be the gateway for the X1 and the C1. Going into the C1, that's going to be our pump filter station control node. The C1 can start and stop 5 different pumps, 10 different valves, as well as filter pumps and acid injection as well if you have that capability on your ranch. Moving into our software. So as mentioned before, you can control and manage everything from a mobile device or a computer. If you're scheduling irrigation, you would do such a thing on your phone, iPad, computer. It all goes through Amazon Web Services and then to our Wisecon server. Then it all goes to the gateway. Then those commands get sent to the radio nodes. We can also do this through a third-party platform. So you can schedule through another company's platform and then our hardware will execute that for you. And as mentioned before, we can always share data with other companies as well if you have those in place already. Here's an example of what our software would look like on a desktop, most commonly used on a desktop, but also everything is available on our mobile app. So nearly everything you can do on your desktop, it is also available to be executed on your mobile app, iPhone, Android. So this here is something similar to what you would see if you were logged into your DropControl account. It's always going to show you an overview map of all of your ranches. We create this through using a KMZ file on Google Earth with the exact coordinates of each ranch. Then we place the location of each node on the map with all the information and sensors that are applied to that node. So if we were on DropControl, you can just hover over one of these icons and it would show you all the information and sensors tied to that specific node. As mentioned before, we specialize in automated irrigation, specifically in scheduling. So there are 3 ways you can control how much and how long your irrigation will run. So there's end date and time, volume, and then the most common duration. So if you're running a 24-hour irrigation, something like that. Once you select your customized irrigation tactic, DropControl will then calculate the volume of water being put out as well as the date and time if you have your correct flow coordinated to your DropControl account. We also can schedule acid and fertilizer injections, as you can see here, if you have that capability on your ranch. We also have templates and programs. So basically a template is going to be showing what's going on that day. And then the program is going to be utilizing one of those selected templates to take place for a specific amount of time, days, weeks, whatever it may be. If you want to have the same program running for 2 weeks, 2 months, you're able to do that, no problem. If you have multiple irrigations to happen in one day, same or different zones, you're also able to do that on templates and programs. It's going to be the easiest way for you. So if you want to irrigate the same zone 3 times a day, different times, you're able to do that. As well, if you wanted to schedule every other day or maybe every 2 days, so forth, you can use templates and programs to better make that happen. So this is going to be your daily view of any scheduled or occurring irrigations. So you can see at the top, we have those darker blue boxes. That's going to be showing your irrigation program that's planned to take place. And then the box below that is going to be what actually happened. They're green in this case because they had a fertilizer injection tied to them, but normally they'd be a lighter blue. And your weekly view. So this comes in handy if you need everyone on the operation to understand what's going on out on the same ranch. You can use the weekly view. You can use the scheduled irrigation button in the top right, get a printed view, and make sure everyone in the operation understands what's going on for that week. We also have the ability to view an operational feedback. So based on your sensors or theoretical volume, flow, and duration, this is going to be calculated to show you what actually happened during your irrigation. So it's going to give you a volume difference, calculating your actual volume versus your theoretical volume, which is set when we set up your DropControl account. This is also helpful when knowing if you have pump or pressure issues. You can see all this when highlighting over the real irrigation box on your feedback, and it's going to show you everything that actually happened. Manual operations, you're always able to see this on your scheduler. So in these gold boxes here, you're always able to see manual irrigations that happen as well. So not only will it show you what was scheduled, but if you decide to manually irrigate one day, you're able to see that at all times as well. So this is going to be showing you every type of irrigation that's happening on your ranch. Peak hour mode is very helpful, especially in those warm summer months that we're entering in. It's a helpful feature because it not only is present on your daily view at all times, so we can see here in the peach color orange vertical box, it's going to show you on your daily view, but also when you schedule an irrigation, if you're running into a peak hour based on your hours, it's going to give you an alert. It's going to say, hey, you're entering peak hours during this irrigation. Do you want to continue? So you can always disable peak hours. If peak hours ever change in your area, you can always contact support and they can get those changed on your peak hour view as well. So those are always interchangeable. So here's a couple examples of what the scheduling would look like on your phone or on your mobile device. Very simple. You select the date, the time, your pumps. Here's going to be an example of what some monitoring would look like on your mobile device. So weather, soil moisture data, pretty much what it looks like on the desktop as well. Easily accessible on a cell phone or an iPad. When we get into flow meter readings, we're able to see accumulated volume for a set time frame, such as throughout a season, as well as cross-referencing that with flow readings. And in this example, we can see the weekly accumulated volume in these vertical black bars. And then we can see this red line showing us the accumulated volume. And we can see the green line showing us flow for a specific flow meter over a course of about a month. Here it's showing us pressure, PSI for 3 different pumps over the course of 2 weeks. If we are on DropControl, if you just drug your mouse over each line, it would show you the specific PSI and information associated to each pump throughout the time. Soil moisture data. So we do a lot of soil moisture monitoring with DropControl. As mentioned before, we use Centec probes with sensors that can reach depths anywhere from 4 to 60 inches. These sensors collect soil moisture readings that are then shown onto DropControl, such as you would see here. Each depth is a different color. You're also able to view moisture readings compared to irrigation that were ran. You can see rainfall here at the bottom in the light blue vertical bar. You can see irrigations that were ran in the dark blue. And you can always see that ET compared to that specific rainfall or irrigation as well. In the middle, this added soil moisture, this is basically showing you your fairway. So we can always customize that, but basically setting those moisture presets to what you want to stay in. And then whenever it hits this blue, you can always be notified when it's getting a little too wet. And whenever it hits your minimum level, you can always be notified as that as well. And finally, going into what we're going to be talking about the most today, weather analysis. So this is going to be showing you temperature cross-reference with relative humidity over a specific set of time. And then down below, always seeing rainfall and ET associated to that time frame as well. We're going to dive into DropControl just here in a minute, but this is just a quick snapshot of what a relative graph would look like on your DropControl. And frost protection. So another thing we're going to be talking a little bit about today. DropControl has many tactics to help you prevent frost, such as turning on a schedule or a program when you're reaching a minimum temperature of, say, 32 degrees. So here we have a minimum temperature set at 35, and then we have those temperature readings in the orange line above. So whenever it's hitting that frost danger section, you can always be notified, or you can have an operation begin. Here it's showing us our chill hours, so you're also able to always set different chill hours compared to your area, and this is showing accumulated chill hours from November to May of the following year. So this is just an example of something that DropControl, one of our success cases, so the ROI, so that yield increase, an average of 1 to 2 years. So this specific case, he is focused on, or he is featured on our YouTube page, Tom Rogers. So he actually lost a well at the beginning of summer, but he still received 5 to 10% yield increase and 30% water savings. So this is just one of our most successful cases here as well. You can view other testimonials, case studies that were some of our successes also on our YouTube page or on our social media platforms. And now we're going to be hearing from Rob Dornbos, so founder and owner of Weather Tools, and he's going to give us an in-depth look on what a Weather Tools report that is downloadable on your DropControl account would look like and the benefits of what they can offer.
Hello, my name is Rob Dornbos, and I am the founder and owner of Weather Tools. Weather Tools has been around since 2013, providing agricultural weather services to the Sacramento Valley and the northern San Joaquin Valley. About 2.5 years ago, Wisecon and Weather Tools began talking about the possibility of creating a customized forecast product for the Wisecon client base. And that's what you see in front of you now. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But first, I want to give you a few other background items to keep in mind as we talk through this. First of all, we are in a number of different geographies with this product. We currently create 7 forecast zones in Chile, primarily northern and central Chile. Those products are created in Spanish with metric units. And then we are in 4 US states, all throughout California and select portions of Florida, Oregon, and Washington state. Those products are in English with imperial units. As far as zones go, I will use either 2, 3, or 4 Wisecon weather stations to create a zone. If I use 4, the zone is typically 250 to 400 square miles, and the size tapers down as I use fewer stations. The reason we use the stations is that our proprietary forecast technology has a machine learning technique that actually uses those stations to learn and remember and bias correct and other things in order to provide you with a much more accurate and reliable forecast. In the case where there's only 1 weather station in an area of interest, we will create a single site forecast, and those labels, the products will be labeled accordingly to make it very clear to you. Also, we issue products twice a day. Our morning product comes out at 5 a.m. and the evening one comes out at 5 p.m. There are 1 or 2 formatting changes between the AM and the PM issuance, and I'll point those out as we talk through the product. So my time is limited, so let's jump in. The first portion of the product is what we call the quick view table. This has a lot of the basic variables just in tabular format for 5 days. You can see the max and min temp in degrees Fahrenheit. The reference evapotranspiration, ETO, is here in inches. Likely precipitation in inches as well. You can see a little bit is coming in. And again, let me back up. This is the Fresno zone forecast from Clovis to Selma. So a little bit of precip on Thursday and Friday with a rather meager probability of precipitation. The relative humidity, the minimum relative humidity for each day in a percentile, and then, or percentage rather, and then the wind speed information, the sustained maximum wind speed for a given day, as well as the expected predominant direction during the hours of 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. I put those limits on it so that we could give you a predominant direction during the most likely time when you might be spraying a herbicide to help you take into consideration any drift issues. So if we go down a little bit, we come to these graph panels. The first one being the zone average thermal budget. The value of the temperature is on the left axis in black in degrees Fahrenheit for this product. And on the right in orange, these are the values for the zone average chance of frost. So very easy to read. You can see they go out 11 days. This morning we actually had about a 38% probability for frost at a few locations within the zone. That chance is diminishing greatly for tomorrow as we begin to get some high clouds moving in associated with that chance of precip on Thursday and Friday. Next panel has the zone average water budget for the next 11 days. The blue columns are the zone average reference ET. The green columns are the zone average precipitation, both of those values being in inches. And then the orange squares in this case, again, read off the right axis and color coded for ease of use, is the zone average chance of precipitation. These values from this table within the first 5 days should match up exactly with what you're seeing here in this quick view table. So on Thursday, we're looking at 400ths of precipitation, reading off the left axis with, around a 35% chance of precipitation. And lo and behold, same as that reference table or the quick view table. Scrolling down to the next page, and I am moving along here because I know time is short. we have our precipitation timing table. These provide you with 3 hourly values for a given day, okay, starting today, going out through Sunday the 21st, of a chance of precipitation being the first number in a given cell, and the chance of thunderstorms being the second number in a given cell. If in any cell, one of those values hits a predefined critical, quote unquote, level, we will color code those cells to call your attention to it and help you rapidly identify the most likely periods for either precipitation or thunderstorm activity. At the bottom of a given day column, these amounts are simply the total expected precipitation for that particular day. Now, this table will vary as we go towards the evening issuance. Specifically, what happens is these first 6, 7 cells will be empty because the evening issuance, the first time at which we have data looking forward, will be 6 p.m. So this will all be empty up until 6 p.m. where you get your first set of values. Everything else remains the same. The last portion of the report are what we call single site herbicide stewardship tables. So we actually go in and look at the forecast data to determine for each of these 2 sites, Clovis and Selma, how many hours on a given day are we going to have wind speeds in these first 2 columns greater than 10 miles an hour. In these next 2 columns, how many hours will be less than 2.5 miles per hour? And in this column, how many hours will we have precipitation occurring, leading to an accumulation greater than 0? The reason we're doing this is because obviously if you're spraying a herbicide and you're greater than 10 miles an hour, according to a lot of the company labels, you really don't want to do that because you could have a potential drift issue impacting your neighbors and their crops. If you're less than 2.5, it's more of a cautionary tale. Are we going to get the mixing into dispersion within the plants or the trees to get the coverage we want? And on the third one with precipitation, certainly we don't want to spray and then have precipitation come in and dilute or wash off that material. Personally, I'm a rice farmer here in Butte County, so a lot of this stuff is near and dear to my heart, and I'm just looking for a way to make weather information as actionable as possible for growers. So if we look at these columns, for the next 5 days, we are really not expecting any hours where the wind speed will be greater than 10 miles an hour for the Clovis site. But just to give you a little more insight, I do go through and I look for the fastest speed on any particular hour on those days. And you can see the fastest hourly speed detected over the next 5 days is only 9.1 miles an hour. If we go to, are we going to have winds less than 2.5 miles an hour? Well, we are. It's going to be a pretty quiet atmosphere. And you can see how many hours on each of these days, and you can see the slowest hourly wind speed detected in the current forecast data package. Same thing. Are we going to have any hours of precip greater than 0? Well, we are. On, what would that be? Thursday, we're expecting at Clovis 10 hours of precip with a total accumulation of 700. Friday, 17 hours, 600. So that's what these products are geared towards. I hope they provide useful and actionable information for everyone. And if somebody has an idea about how to modify them and make them more applicable, I always want to hear that. We are always looking to tweak this product and make it as powerful and impactful for growers as we possibly can. Going forward, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. I want to hear from you. Again, I want to be a great partner for you. I want to provide you with a product that you're proud of and confident in, and you know can be powerful for your growers. So my cell phone is given right here, 530-774-5475. I can also be reached via email at rob@weathertools.org. And I hope you'll take advantage of that if you have any comments or questions. So with that, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And I look forward to working with you going forward.
All right, so Rob just went through a pretty in-depth look into what a weather tools report would look like on your weather dashboard if you choose to participate with our new service that we have available. There's a lot of good stuff on those reports. They're available every 10 days, as he mentioned, always available to download onto your DropControl account and log onto your, or save to your computer, whatever you need to do. We're going to be looking at our weather tools dashboard now as well. So if you're logged into your DropControl account, right now I'm just on our demo account there at Fresno State. We have a system out at their olives orchard as well as their almond orchard. Right now we're just going to be looking at the olives. So this is kind of your landing page onto your account on DropControl, and it's going to give you a first-hand look into your weather dashboard if you just need to look at something really quick, look at the forecast for the day, look at what's currently going on in the morning. You can always just see this on your landing page. You can always see temperature and humidity. We're looking for the last week or so. Always see rainfall on ET. Rained recently, we can view that, how much it rained in inches. On the left-hand side, you'll see weather analysis just under irrigation. We're going to be looking at our weather station. We have a Davis weather station out there at Fresno State. You may have a semi station. So analyzing our Davis station out there. This is going to be our new improved weather dashboard on DropControl. So we have a ton of stuff to go through here. First and foremost, our time selector. So this is going to reflect most of our information down here when we look into our weather readings. Right now it's showing us the last almost 2 weeks. If we want to see when it was a little bit colder, see what was going on there. And this is going to give us a ton of information. I sent it all the way back to January 1st of this year and have it until today. So there's going to be a lot, but we can always tune in on what we really need to look at. So first and foremost, we have our settings. So these settings are very important, especially when talking about frost. So with frost, we usually set 32 degrees as the warmest temperature before you're going to enter a frost event. So if we want to set 32 degrees, we already have our minimum and maximum temperature set on our graph just for reference. So to see how many times we go over the max temp or go under the minimum, you can always change those. We want to make this a little bit lower, we always can. Or maybe increase the temperature when it gets into the summer months. Whenever you put in a setting, you just press enter and it's automatically going to reflect on your graph. So now we have our frost temperature being reflected here. So we have a visual whenever a temperature was entering that 32 degrees. So beginning into that frost event. These time selectors here, we can always zoom in with 1 day, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, just like as if we were looking at an irrigation analysis. Chill hours, we already have our 45-degree chill hour set. This goes into our accumulated chill hours, which we'll look at another ranch should view some accumulated chill hours. You can always select your start and date time of when you want to see that accumulation. And degree days. You can always set the number of degree days you want to look at over a certain base of time. Again, select your start and end date, and you can always view those degree days reflected on your custom chart, which we'll view here in just a second. Looking at these weather charts. So obviously we have a ton of information here. You can always drag and drop over an event that you might want to look a little further into. So as you can see here, it got pretty cold. So our minimum temperature reached 31.43. So barely on the cusp of that 32, but it's just nice to have a visual because some areas you obviously are going to get into that 32 degrees or lower, reaching that frost event. You can always run your cursor over the temperature for that specific date and time. It gives you the date, when it happened, and the exact temperature reading. And then it's going to show you that max temp always, as well as minimum at the bottom. Going into rainfall and ET, you always have that available. It's rained a little bit recently, so you can always see exactly how much, and then correlating with the amount of ET. Chill hours, showing our accumulated chill hours based on this certain date that we have set right now. And then moving on to our current readings. So current readings, this is going to be updated fairly recently. So this is updated just about 15 minutes ago. Temperature in Fahrenheit, percent humidity, 93.72% humidity out right now. Solar radiation in watts per meter squared. Atmospheric pressure, if you have that capability. Wind speed, 1.16 miles per hour. the direction of the wind, which we can also look at down here at windrows and here in just a minute. Our daily rainfall so far, 0.0553 inches, and then our hourly rainfall. We have our ET daily, so 0.03 inches so far. We have our overnight low temperature, 53.44 Fahrenheit as of now. And then we have our daytime high, so 69.44 degrees Fahrenheit so far. Like I said, those are updated usually about every 15 or so minutes. Next, running into reports. So Rob obviously went over the weather tools report here. You would be as simple as clicking weather tools, hitting download, and it's going to pop up our weather tools report for our specific zone that we're located in for within that 10-day sector that you're in at the moment. Going into windrows, so this is useful if wind is really crucial in your area, maybe you're in a valley or something, you need to know exactly where and when you're going to get those high wind speeds. You can know here on the windrows. Annual data, so you can see chill hours with the base right now set at 45 degrees. You can see those chill hours for each year. So obviously we can look back into 2020, 2019, 2018. Wind chart, so same thing kind of as the windrows. You can see very, very specific directions as well as the intensity or speed of that wind. You can see light air, the direction, and the speed. And you can always set this time frame just using your time selector. Right now we're seeing a few months. Going into the forecast, this is going to be your 4-day forecast, 5 including the day that you're currently in. You can always go straight to the source or just get a quick snapshot at the weather forecast that you have throughout the week or the weekend. Log, this is always a very useful tool on DropControl. You can always add logs just up here at the top. This bubble button right here, if I just want to click on that and say I want it to go to myself, or I want it to go to Wisecon, or I want it to go to my irrigation manager, I can put in whatever email I want it to go to, write a comment, and then you can always attach photos. If you see something out there in the field or something wrong with your weather station, you can always attach photos, save, and that log would go directly down here for everyone to view. Alerts, you can always set alerts for multiple different things, specifically in weather. So if I want to know in a couple months when it's going to reach high temperatures, I can always set my low. And if I want to know when it's going to go over 75. First occurrence, so basically this is going to notify you on your alert right when it is above or below these two temperatures, or you can choose to wait 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, whatever it may be. Sometimes people like to wait because they're not sure if it's just the station catching a bad reading or something. Most people do first occurrence just so they can get a quick jump on it. Always have enable clicked, and then you can always select the emails, texts, or phone numbers that you have associated to your account. You can always just select those addresses, click save. You can always have more than one. And going into data summary. So this is another portion that's based off of the time selector that we have. So about 3 months worth of data we're going to see compiled in this data summary. This data summary is also correlated onto this data table. So starting with the data summary, it's going to show us our high and low and average temperature throughout those 3 or so months that I have selected. Relative humidity, high and low average, accumulated rainfall over the last 3 months, average ET, accumulated ET, ET from rain, average wind speed, previous wind direction, chill hours accumulated, and if we had any frost events, this is where you would see it. So if you are in a colder area and you know for a fact you had a frost event in the last month and you want to read a little more into it, you can always see how many frost events you've had based on that specific amount of time. Everything's going to be compiled into your data table, and you can always export this to Excel, save it, send it to your irrigators, send it to us, send it to anyone associated with your operation, and it's yours to have. So this, like I said, this is our demo station out at Fresno State. If we want to look into some better examples of utilizing those frost capabilities, I'm going to use some accounts that are a little bit colder areas and with crops that suffer a little bit more from frost. So we're looking at this farm that's out in the Salinas area. They grow blueberries. So again, back at our kind of basis here with our immediate weather station reports. We want to go to weather analysis, back where we were. I'm going to click on any block here. And it's showing us the last week or so in our time selector. If we want to span that out a bit, we can. And it's going to be the same situation. So you can always set your settings. They have their chill hours set at 45. If I want to set a minimum temperature, let's say of 45, and our high temperature, let's say of 75. And if we want to set that frost level, we can click enter and everything's going to be shown on our graph here. So now we can see when we hit that high temp, hit that low temp, which is pretty often in this time selector for this area. And then also whenever it was getting into those possible frost events. You can always zoom in and get a better look. Always run your cursor and get some more information as far as the time of the day that happened and the exact temperature. Again, you can always select your chill hours, when they end. You can always select your degree days. And again, same thing, current readings, reports, annual data, forecast, data summary. So looking into another account that may suffer from some frost events. This ranch grows berries as well. They're in the Delano area. If I want to head over to their weather analysis, they have one of our Davis weather stations tied up to their ranch. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that weather station to analyze. And again, same thing, our time selector. They currently don't have our frost level or our minimum max temperature selected. So we can always go ahead and add those in just how we did before. Current readings, ET, and accumulated chill hours. So how many hours reach that chill temperature over this amount of time. They have alerts set up. So they have when it goes below 35 degrees, they are going to get notifications, as well as Wisecon is going to get notifications. So that's always an option on alerts. It will let us know. It will go to either your account manager, myself, or one of our technicians, and we'll know when these more high-risk areas are entering a frost event, so we can get some action going out there. And again, your data table. So if we want to go ahead and go into custom charts just to get a better idea in these areas that might suffer from frost a little bit more. This account actually has a frost template already set up on this one. So they have a frost monitor template, which you can always set up on your DropControl account. It's going to show us the temperatures from all of their blocks and at their semis weather station. So we are measuring temperature. You can always change the variable, whether you want to see solar radiation, degree days, chill hours, daily ET. If we would just want to look at temperature, and the resolution is going to be every 15 minutes. So it's going to be getting a reading every 15 minutes to show on our graph. It's going to have every single block listed that we want to analyze, our temperature sensors, and then you can always change the color if you want them to be completely different. They're pretty much all going to be in the same line, so I'm just going to keep them all the same. Click view. Again, your time selector, if we want to look when it was a little bit colder, we always can. Push it back. All right, so obviously giving us a ton of information. I want to see when it was really cold. I'm going to zoom in here. All right, and we can see those low temperatures that we're reading. So we can see here, sometimes it got into those dangerous frost temperatures. So sometimes we hit 23 first thing in the morning, 29, 32, 27. So custom charts is nice because you can always select your variable. Like I said, if you want to measure maybe temperature and let's say chill hours or ET, you can always measure multiple things at the same time and view them on the same graph, as well as within a specific amount of time. It's showing us about 2 weeks of information. And then all of this is going to be downloadable again onto your data table, always available to export onto your computer. Talking a little bit more about that frost control, our support is always able to set a function or an action to run an irrigation or turn off an irrigation when you're entering into one of those frost events. So going back into those alerts, if we have an alert set up when it's going to drop below 35 degrees, let's say, you would get an alert, or support would get an alert. And support can actually, if you're noticing that this is the trend when you're getting into those cooler seasons and you have a high risk crop, you can always select 2 temperatures and let support know what temperatures you want to have an action start or stop within. They can do that for you as well. They also control the logic when temperatures are lowering and rising, what actions are happening there to prevent frost. So there's a lot of things that Wisecon and DropControl can do to help you protect against frost. One of those also being utilizing that weather tools report. If we look at that report, we can always see chance of frost on your forecast zone average thermal budget. So we can see in this area, we're not that likely. But in some of the cooler areas, if you have this downloadable report, it'll always show you your chance of frost. And if you're getting into those cooler months, always let support know, talk with them if you're not too sure what temperatures you need to have this action start and stop on. They can always help you with that. All right, so going into the DropControl app. So as mentioned before, everything you can do on our DropControl desktop function, you can also use on the app. So just showing you what a little bit of a weather analysis would look like on our mobile app. So I am on our Fresno State demo account. You can change your account at any time and your farm as well if you have multiple farms attached to one account. I am looking at the olives set at Fresno State. I'm currently on our dashboard, so just the stuff you would see on your desktop as well. If I go over to analysis on the bottom, that chart icon, I can see my weather station. Click on that, and it's going to show me my weather analysis just as I would see on the desktop. You can change the dates you're viewing. I'm going to go ahead and change it to 2 weeks. And I can see my weather analysis. I can zoom in, get more specific dates and information, and then also run my cursor along and get that accurate information that I also can see on the desktop. Again, we can see rainfall and ET. Just to show you how that weather analysis and soil moisture analysis can go hand in hand on here. I'm going to see a 2-week view. And we can see a couple rainfalls we've had recently in the past week or so, and we can see that increase in soil moisture on this chart above. It's just a couple of things you can do on the weather analysis on your app as well. We have our pump system, but just weather specifically, everything you can see on the desktop, you can also see on your mobile app. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. A little more about the weather tools software that we are implementing on our DropControl. If you want any more information, please feel free to reach out to us or to Rob or to your account manager specifically, and we can get you some more information. Right now we have 42 zones in operation, so contact us if you're interested. It's all across California, Pacific Northwest, Florida, and as well as in Chile. So if you're interested, go ahead and contact us and we can find your region for you. We are offering a 30-day free trial for any DropControl users. Following that, we've come up with a competitive price of $600 per year per zone after your 30-day free trial. So go ahead and contact us if you are interested and get full use of that dashboard and those downloadable reports. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't think I see any questions in the Q&A, but if you do come up with any, please go ahead and drop them in there right now, or go ahead and email us at info@wisecon.com.